Hey everybody, welcome to the advice stream. I am JeremyInternational. We are just getting started here today. If you're new, and I'm going to say this a few times, of course, over our time together today, the advice stream is where I wait around for people to ask me questions and I do my best to answer them. I've been around the block a few times. I've made a lot of mistakes. Maybe I don't, but I may have some helpful advice for you if you find yourself in a bit of a pickle about almost anything. Probably not great to ask me financial advice. I'm not a lawyer, so legal advice will be taken with a grain of salt, and I am certainly not a doctor. But I have experienced a lot of medical adventures. So, I might not be able to give you like medical advice, but I could probably give you advice about how to navigate a medical journey. So if you need help, if you have questions, hey, it's OMG Fred Undead. First in, as always. Good to see ya. A pickle. Who doesn't like pickles? Actually, a lot of people don't like pickles, but I like them, so that means more for me. So good for you. Today we are playing E.V.O. or E.V.O. The Search for Eden. E.V.O. is an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, but this is a Super Nintendo game. As always on the advice stream, I am playing original physical copies of games from my personal vintage video game collection. I don't have a lot of Super Nintendo games. My collection is mostly Famicom related. If you know what the Famicom is, go ahead and shoot that in the chat. But this is probably the rarest Super Nintendo game that in my collection, I suspect. Could be wrong about that. I just noticed that I got the 000 timer. I removed that there. Thanks for letting me know, everybody. Cool. So, hey, Start Rec, thanks for joining the show. I also want to say, I don't want to brag or anything, but I've got 12 followers on Twitch, which is 11 more than I had a week ago. So I'm doing pretty good. My life is pretty good. I'm drinking today some High West bourbon, not my usual bourbon. It's a little bit cheaper than what my preference is. If you enjoy responsibly partaking in alcohol, get yourself a drink. We're going to hang out for a while. I'll be here for 2 hours. And we'll hang out. We'll have fun. Ask away. I'll think of stuff to talk about while we're going. In the second hour, my good friend and hetero life partner Landon Letzkus will be joining us, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff together. But we'll get there in this second hour. We have a whole hour to kill playing E.V.O. up until then. But cheers to you. Cheers to you, the internet. If you're following on Twitch, that's great. Please say hi in the chat. If you're on YouTube, I'm getting those chats too. Say hi there. If you ever wanted to, hey, at Adlex619, Landon sent you. Landon sends a lot of people. Landon sent me to so many places, almost all of which I wanted to be. A couple I didn't. But hello, thanks for joining the show. If you're new, what we do here is we hang out. I'm about to play a very old Super Nintendo game. I haven't played since I was a kid. We'll see how it goes. But if you have questions, if you need advice, if you find yourself in a conundrum, a pickle, if you're vexed about something in your life, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. You could also use the contact form at JeremyInternational.com if you'd rather keep it more anonymous. And I've been around and I've lived a lot of life. I'm an old man by some counts, and maybe I'll have some advice for you. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But it never hurts to ask. And I'm, a broken clock is right twice a day. So you never know. Maybe I'll help you. But I'm going to go ahead and start. Now I'm playing E.V.O., E.V.O., the Search for Eden, however you want to call it. I don't know what the E.V.O. stands for. If someone wants to Google that and put it in the chat, please feel free to do so. I'm playing this on one of my favorite pieces of technology I've ever owned, which is a Super NT made by Analog. Analog makes modern hardware that plays old original physical copies of games at really high sometimes even at 1080p if you're into high resolution. And that's what I'm playing my original E.V.O cartridge on. And let's see how it goes. I'm also using my clear plastic Super Nintendo controller from 8-Bit Do. If anyone from Analog or 8-Bit Do out there wants to send me some stuff, please do, because I'll take it. I love your products. I use them all the time. Ooh, about 4.6 billion years ago. Oh, okay, well, I didn't read fast enough. Man, wasn't the Super Nintendo great? Look at that. The sun, my dear Gaia, please listen to me. From this time forward, every 1 billion years, you will have children. Jesus. You know what? I'm not going to read this. You can read. If you want to know the text, read it there. I can't get over that Super Nintendo look, though. There was never better, in my opinion. This is me being my age, I guess. But this is the best system that there ever was. Sega Genesis is a close second, though. Let's just let it go, and you can read it at home and find out maybe it'll tell us what E.V.O stands for. The premise of this game, if I remember correctly, is you start as like a little microbe or a little fish or something, and you go about the game and you evolve and you become more complicated living things, I believe, until the end when you're a human being. So it's kind of like living evolution in a video game, which is really cool. Ah, yes. Can everyone hear the music okay? I can probably find a way to make it louder if you want to. But, then you might have a hard time listening to me. Oh, yeah, this is a game developed by Enix, the predecessor to Square Enix. If you've play any of those Japanese RPGs out there, they're a big player in that industry. All right. E.V.O in 1993 copyright. Wow. I was almost in high school in 1993. Oh my God, there's more text. Cool. Yeah. Are you going to tell me how to play the game, or is this just like background text? Yeah, Fred Undead says E.V.O may be short for evolution, but it's acronym's the right word, right? When you have a word that's made up like FBI or whatever, it stands for something. It says E.V.O. There's dots after each of those letters. Only the strong will survive. One of the things I think is interesting, I read a lot about evolution. I'm a big fan of evolutionary biology. One of the things I always find interesting about evolution is the people in society that want to act like they want to teach kids that evolution as a force in the natural world isn't real, are the people that want to apply the rules of evolution to like society and like economics. Like they don't think it's a naturally occurring thing in the world, but they want to force it on all of us so that rich people can stay richer. This isn't a political debate, by the way. This is a moral debate. We don't talk about politics. We talk about moral issues on the advice stream. I guess we could talk about politics. Why not? But this isn't particularly a political conversation as much as it is, I don't get it. They say evolution isn't real, but then they want to force society into this like strongest survives and everybody else, can starve to death in a gutter. Just a thought there. Okay, so I'm a little fish. Do I go? I want to save the game. I haven't done anything yet. And we're going to do the first level. And we'll see how it goes. Ocean of Origin. All right, here I go. I have a chomp. I don't know what... That's a chomp. And this looks like a swallow. Jellyfish. We have a newcomer. Welcome to blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah. Fish. Who knows what fish talk about? Are you afraid of it? Well, I should have read before that because I don't know what it is. Yeah, game. Okay, can I chomp you? Oh boy, he chomped me. Chomp, chomp. Okay, no, I'm going away. Can I chomp this? I can. I can chomp all of the things at the bottom. Will this help me get my HP back? What is this number? If anyone knows how to play E.V.O, the search for Eaton, please reach out in the chat. I'm getting something, but what? I have E.V.O P. I'm assuming that's evolution points, but I can't chomp the jellyfish. They're not chompable. Interesting thing about jellyfish is they don't make a choice to sting you. If you touch their tentacles, it's like a trigger. It just goes off on its own. They're not like bees that want to sting as like a defense. They're just kind of flapping about. All right, well, that was boring. Maybe, oh, well, what does the red dot mean? No one knows. No one was there, so no one knows. Cave of Guidance. Well, I'm still gonna avoid, wait, can I go in here? Is this a place I can go into? Oh, it is. Oh, can I eat these guys? No. Can I eat anything? Oh, I'm doing damage. Chomp, chomp. There we go. What is that? While I'm playing, just as a reminder to anybody, if you need advice about something, I am here. I am an expert on a lot of different things. Also, I'll give a disclaimer while we're getting started is that this program may at some point acknowledge the existence of sex. This game might too, now that I'm thinking about it. If you are uncomfortable by the acknowledgement of the existence of sex, then you might want to leave. I have made a decision. Sex is a psyop. Yes, Start Rec it is. But I mean, if boy, I am not digging this game, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna keep playing it because this is what it says on the description, but I'm gonna die here soon. Chomp. I wonder if more happens. Rumor, there's just so much text. The cucumbers. Blah, blah, blah. Can I chomp the cucumber? Yes. Yeah, it does. The difference, though, Start Rec, is Earthworm Jim is a great game. It is nonstop action, and it has like cool kind of like personality to it. It's funny. This game is yet to be any of those things. And I would also say I don't recall Earthworm Jim having so much reading to do. I like to read. We can talk about books if anyone wants to talk about books. I've read a book or two in my life. We could do that too, but chomp. This is just a lot of reading, and I'm gonna leave these little wormy guys alone. Let's check and see. No questions yet. So I have stolen some advice questions from the internet. And I'm going to play for a few more minutes. Let's see if more people will come by and join us. And then I'll read one of those questions out loud. I'm new. This is really the second show if you don't count the first time I did this. This is the second one of those streams. So I get it. People haven't figured it out yet. I'm not on everybody's radar. So I might not be getting a lot of advice questions. So I've taken the liberty of stealing some. Cave of Temptation. That sounds like that might acknowledge the existence of sex. And we'll see what those questions are. I've stolen some from other people, and I'm not going to say where, unless everyone thinks I really should. And we'll see what we can learn from those questions while we wait for a few of our own. Here's a good piece of advice, though. that I've learned over the years. Oh my God, they're like nematodes. They're like little wormy guys. I died. Life on Earth never existed. Yeah, so advice that I have, you need to be patient with yourself. Life is hard for everybody, even like the richest person in the world that lives in a tower somewhere, Elon Musk. Even he has some hard times. He lost billions of dollars the other day, like overnight. He has hard days too. Everybody has a rough time, and that's cool. That means you're alive. So be patient with yourself. Try to understand your trauma. If you're lucky enough to be able to go to have a therapist, that's a good way to start. Try to understand your trauma. You try to reflect on it, and maybe find ways to minimize how it negatively impacts you. But ultimately, be patient with yourself because it's hard. It's hard out there for a pimp, and which we all are. That's one piece of advice I have. Everyone says like whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You ever hear that before? That is bullshit. Whatever doesn't kill you sometimes fucks you up forever. I'm sorry. I decided I wasn't going to swear on this show, so I apologize that I just did that. Family friendly is the way that we're going here, as long as, your family's cool acknowledging the existence of sex. But I think when people say like, oh yeah, that someone else has had it harder than me, so I'm good. That's kind of a cop out, because oh my God, these guys are following me. It's a bit of a cop out. And I'll tell you why. It's because you of course someone's had it worse than you. What just happened? I evolved. I just evolved. Can I chomp these guys now? Can I chomp them? I did. I'm a totally different kind of fish now. I'm starting to get I'm starting to see the appeal of this game now that I evolved. So saying that someone's had it harder than you, of course someone's had it harder than you. But I think a lot of people say that so that they don't have to actually like face what they've been through. They try to like minimize their hurt, their trauma, what they've been through. Your situation, your trauma is yours, and you should own it and lean into it, understand how it affects you. If you are so inclined to do so, you can do some work to hopefully, find fewer negative ways it affects you or the people that you love in your life. But don't pretend like you don't have trauma. Don't pretend like something horrible hasn't happened to you. Something horrible has happened to everybody. Hi, Eichel Glastify, if I'm saying that right. This is E.V.O, The Search for Eden. It's a Super Nintendo game, 1993. It's okay, I guess. It's very super... Oh, did I just unevolve? I've been playing it for... How long have we been here now? Like 20 minutes? And it's fine. I would have hoped... I don't know, something different. I don't understand what I just did. I will say I didn't read the directions and I've skipped through most of the text. So it's my fault. There is a wall of bubbles. We're going to play this for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to read out loud a couple questions that I've downloaded from the internet as advice columns. If you're new to the stream, I'm going to pause this for a second. If you're new to the stream, let me tell you a little bit about how this works. I'm Jeremy International. This is the advice stream. We're streaming on Twitch. We're streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on JeremyInternational.com. You can watch. You'll have the same viewing experience in any one of those three places. If you want to participate in the chat, Twitch or YouTube is going to be where you want to be. There's no chat currently at Jeremy International. I'm working on it. If I am here, my name's Jeremy International. I'm in my mid-40s. I've lived a life. I've made all kinds of mistakes. I've made lots of good choices too. And so I'm here to maybe help you out. If you have a question, if you're stuck, if you find yourself in a conundrum, in a pickle in your life, and you want to seek some advice from a hopefully kind of knowledgeable, I hope I am, person, feel free to ask a question in the chat on Twitch or YouTube if you want to, or you can go to JeremyInternational.com and there's a contact form there if you'd rather be anonymous. I'm not going to share any of your personal information with anybody. I'll just read the question out loud and then do my best to answer it. I am here for you. The only reason I'm playing a video game is because I just got started. I'm not getting a lot of questions yet. So I just want to do something that's maybe hopefully a little entertaining. But you know, I can play a lot of different games. I picked this one because why not? But I don't understand. I was like kind of like looked like I was a bit of like a barracuda or something before. And now I'm not. Can I chomp you? Come here, yellowfish. Chomp, chomp. No. Oh, you're, oh God. Oh boy. What's happening? An explosion from a volcano. Oh man, you know, that's, oh boy. That's Earth for you. You think you're safe in the ocean and then there's a volcano. I am dead. Yeah, so why don't we take a break? And I'm gonna read because I'm terrible at this game. I think the game might be terrible too. I'm not taking 100% of the fall for that. And I'm gonna read an advice column question. Once again, I'm stealing this from the internet. And I have thoughts about this. I read this one the other day. I read a lot of advice columns in preparation for my program. And we'll see what I think about it. And then you can put into the chat what you think about it. Question number 1. My ex-husband has a habit of bringing over books or DVDs. Who's bringing over DVDs? It's 2023, Jesus. That he says I must read or enjoy. When we were married, I accepted this because I wanted to please him. Now, 15 years later, he is remarried and I am single. I have a newfound sense of boundaries, good for you, and would like to tell him to stop doing this. And even that pressure like this makes me not want to read the book even more. He is happy in his new marriage, but he and I still share some interest in the arts that his new wife doesn't. I'm trying to think of tactful ways to steer him away from this habit. Do you have any suggestions? Well, the first question I have to this person is, are you in a co-parenting situation with your ex-husband? Because it's cool to be friendly with your exes. I think that's great. That's classy. That's what grown-ups should do, is be friendly with your exes. If you're co-parenting, like if this person is the father of your children, you've had children together, you're the mother of his children, whatever, then you need to maintain some kind of teamwork there. But if you don't have kids, or if your kids are grown, just tell them you don't want to do it anymore. That's the great thing about having an ex, is their feelings aren't your responsibility any longer. Tell them to fuck off. I'm sorry. Tell them to screw off. I think that's fine. Trying to keep this swear free. I do tend to swear a lot in my normal language. So I'm going to try to do that a little bit less. I don't know if I'll be successful. But why are you even trying to do this tactfully if you don't have kids? That's really the question I have. If you're co-parenting, you need to find a tactful way to do it, because you guys are still in it. Even though you're not divorced, you're still in it for until your kids are adults. But if you don't have kids, or if your kids are grown up, just tell them you don't want to do it anymore. Tell them, this isn't interesting to me. I don't want to hear what your taste in books or DVDs are. Is he bringing over VHSs too? Like, what's the deal with the DVDs? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is the great thing. Dang, no swears, Start Rec. I know. I'm working on it. I have a kid who's a toddler, and I honestly don't have a problem with kids swearing. I think it's hysterical, but I understand that it's going to complicate things in like a school type situation. So I'm trying to swear less, just because I don't want to deal with some stuck-up teacher giving me a hard time that my kid dropped an F-bomb at school. Although kids dropping F-bombs is the best. Yeah, anyways, that's my answer to this person, is why are you stressing out about this? If he's your ex he's your ex. That means that you don't have to be super invested. And yeah, you like, I like swears. I love swears, for sure. You know, my favorite swear is rats. Poor rats. Anyways, that's my take on that. I'm gonna, okay. Oh, let's take another break before we go back to playing the game. And I'm gonna share my record of the week. Are you guys ready? Record of the week. If I didn't say before, I'm making this up as I'm going along. Everyone, I'm just doing a bunch of random stuff and we'll see what sticks, you know? Is that a bunch of pictures of George Costanza? My record of the week is This Year's Model by Elvis Costello. I like this album very much for a lot of different reasons. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. When people talk about Elvis Costello, they usually talk about My Aim Is True as like his big record. I like This Year's Model more for a lot of different reasons. The reason I'm thinking about this album, I've been listening it to more lately, is I have this on vinyl. I have a big vinyl collection. And my toddler saw this picture and said, "Daddy," and pointed out Elvis Costello and thinking it was a picture of me. And I think that's funny because I've struggled to achieve and maintain a look very similar to this record cover for most of my life. I would say most of the times that I've gotten laid is because of how in close proximity I've gotten to that record cover in my personal appearance. So that cracks me up. But this album's really good. It's a little, it's closer. What's the best way to say that? This is the more like post-punk, I guess, of Elvis Costello albums. It's a little faster. It's a little, guitars are a little janglier, if you know what I mean. This is a real good one. If you haven't listened to it, give it a try. This Year's Model, Elvis Costello. I want to say, I'm guessing a year here, probably like 78, maybe 9. That's a good one. That's my album of the week. Listened to a lot this week. I'll do that every one of these shows. I'll pick an album I really like. If there's an album you really like that you would like me or anyone else in the chat to listen to, please put it in the chat. I'm always looking for new musical experiences, or also looking for confirmation that my already held opinions about music are shared by other people. So that would be a fun thing to do. That's what people say on live streams, right? Put it in the chat. Oh yeah, and don't forget, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to gently press the thumbs up button, because that algorithm matters there, for sure. I don't know enough about how Twitch works to know how I get seen by more people, but it looks like I got 5 people listening in. That's exciting. And we'll keep going. Probably we'll pick up more people over the course of the hour. I would also like to say that this episode is unofficially sponsored by Oat Bran Sesame Sticks. You can hear them rattling around in there through the microphone. These are real good. I got them from Wegmans, but I'm assuming that they're made by everybody and you can get them everywhere. As far as snacks go, you could do worse, right? Probably. I'm not going to eat them because you shouldn't eat crunchy food when there's a microphone in your face. I know that much. I know that much about live streaming. Let's play another round of E.V.O. And then we'll read another question. But as you come by the chat, feel free to say hi. I lost somebody with the sesame snacks, I think. Now I'm down to four people. That's fair. Let's see if we can figure out how to beat these volcanoes and ocean of something. Why did I de-evolve though? I was like a cool little barracuda looking dude. Can I come back? I just want to say hi. Do you hear that chomp sound? Can you listen to this? Can you hear this? Chomp. Chomp. Oh my God. So I don't know. I guess you just wait around until the volcanoes erupt. And you can't catch these little yellow fishy guys because they're too smart. Too smart. They'll hit me though, that's for sure. Okay, here we go. I wonder how you survive the volcano. What if I go low? Can I go low? Does that help? I think, nope. I died. Yeah, I know. Another piece of advice that I can share with you while we're waiting here. If you don't cook, but you'd like to learn, you don't need to get fancy. Keep it simple. Have some staples in your house. Build a repertoire. Get like one thing you're good at cooking and then expand to 2 things and then to 3 things. You don't need to like cook something different every day. Make something simple. Really good if you are a person that eats, if you are okay with eating arthropods, then I'd recommend always keeping a bag of frozen shrimp in your freezer. And you can just, favorite ingredient. You know, I really like ginger. Anything ginger is good. I like cooking with chicken thighs because you can't overcook them. You really can't overcook chicken thighs. I mean, I'm sure you could, but it'd be hard to do it by accident. You enjoy cooking. What do you cook? Ical What's your favorite dish to cook? Chomp, chomp, chomp. My favorite thing to eat is yellowfish, personally. Chomp, chomp. No. This game isn't great. I was thinking about doing like a whole series of this and playing it all the way through. Okay, thank you. Eichel laughing my ass off. 2 O's. All right, here we go again. It's volcano time. Why do we do this? Why am I doing this to myself? What do I do? Where do I go? Can I like dodge them kinda? And like, do I just wait it out? I don't know. This is real riveting for everyone watching at home, I'm sure. Red snapper. Ooh, yeah, that's a good fish. I like red snapper. I cook a lot of... Oh, I hate this game. Classic sound effect library. Yeah, oh, you know, ground turkey. Garlic is good. I agree. You know, if you go to Whole Foods, they have ground dark meat turkey instead of ground like white meat turkey, which is way better. When you're talking about poultry, if you eat poultry, and it's cool if you don't, we should all be eating less meat than we are. But the dark meat, like your thighs, for example, are always going to taste better. People are wasting their times with like turkey breast or chicken breast. Just go for those thighs and legs, you know? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, fellas. And, but you can get dark ground turkey meat at Whole Foods. And it tastes way better. I like to make turkey burgers with those. Put a little bit of miso in there, and they're really great. I'm going to try this one more time, and then I'm giving up, and we'll play something else. I don't have anything else handy to play. But we're getting, you know, we're halfway through our first hour, so that's good. But yeah, I'm with you there. Aiko Lamu. I'm there with you on ground turkey. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Is good. I also like to cook with tofu a lot. I'm a big tofu fan. It takes a little bit of time to get it just right. Start Rec, you want me to do a Mario speedrun? I could do a real bad one. So up doesn't do it. Okay. Can I dodge? No, I cannot. Oh boy. Can I skip this? There's like a map. Can I skip it? No. I can't. All right, I'm gonna do this instead. Watch this. Yeah, you turn that off. You turn it back on. So the Super NT has a built-in game. That's not too bad. I'm gonna play that for a little bit instead. If you weren't here for this original part, I am playing an original E.V.O cartridge. I'm playing it on a device called a Super NT. It's made by Analog. Analog makes really high-end like hardware emulation. So you plug in your original game, but then it outputs it through HDMI at 1080. It's the best way to play old games on a modern TV. Getting your old actual like original Super Nintendo and to look good on your television is doable. It's complicated. It's expensive. Super NT makes it way simpler, but also expensive. But I love this thing. I use it quite a bit. They also make a Sega Genesis machine. It's called a Mega SG, which works in a very similar way. And then they also make the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. This is called an Analog Pocket, and it's a Game Boy Advance machine. I was streaming on this a while ago with Metroid 2 on the Super Nintendo, which now you can just play on your Switch, so who cares? But if anyone from Analog is out there, I am a huge fan. Send me anything that you want to send me. I will sing your praises from the mountaintop until the day I die. Especially if you give me some free stuff, you know what I'm saying? So let's try, so there's a built-in game here called Super Turrican. Turrican is was made for everything. I think you can even play it on like a Commodore. And I'm gonna play that instead because E.V.O, hot take, hope I'm not being controversial, E.V.O sucks. Cool concept. You guys want to talk about evolution? Can we talk about evolution for a little bit? Because I like to talk about evolution. Who here is down with Darwin? Here's an interesting thing a lot of people don't know about Darwin. You know, so Darwin was a young man when he went on the Beagle. And on his journey on the Beagle is when he first started to kind of ruminate on evolution. When he got back to England, he started what would eventually become On the Origin of Species. But he didn't want to publish it until he was dead. He understood that it was going to be really controversial. So he wrote the book, he tucked it away, he left instructions in his will to say, when I'm dead, you can publish this. But then some other guy, I think he was another British guy, figured out the same thing about the origin of species and was going to publish his own book. And when Darwin found out about that, he's like, okay, well, I want to get credit for my work, so I'll deal with the controversy. And yeah, I go, evolution is great. Love paleontology and early ancient Earth history. Me too. You know, I was going to be a paleontologist. I was a geology major in college for one day, and then got a tour of the performing arts department at the university I went to, and then changed my major for my second day, and then did that instead. So anyways, Darwin was an old man by the time he'd written it when he was young, but he was an old man by the time that The Origin of Species was published. And as time went by and he received criticism of the book, he started to change later editions of On the Origin of Species, or actually reflect less our modern understanding of evolution than the early ones did. Because Darwin had just kind of scratched the surface of the fossil record. He had looked at life all over Earth, but he didn't know about genetics. Genetics had just been invented. Genetics was invented by a German guy named Mendel, and it had published in Darwin's lifetime. Darwin didn't speak German, and Mendel's work was never translated into English. So Darwin didn't understand how genetics worked. So in his time, people thought if you have a regular bunny rabbit and a super fast bunny rabbit, if they have kids, then their kid is just going to be half of the fast bunny rabbit, half of its fast parent. So this way of breeding without understanding how genetics works would just kind of muddy everything out. So he started to contradict himself. And a lot of people that are anti teaching kids and humanity about evolution look at Darwin's later work. But his earlier editions of On the Origin of Species that's what we read today. That's the most accurate one. It's not perfect because he had just started to understand the fossil record and he didn't understand genetics. But anyways, I think that's super fascinating. The lesson there is hopefully stuff gets translated, but you should probably be multilingual because someone out there might have an answer to all of your life's questions. But if you don't speak their language, then what are you gonna do? Okay. All right, I got jump. I got shoot. Can I shoot up? No, I cannot shoot up. I can just shoot left or right. Oh man, did you guys hear this music? Yeah. Kind of has like a Cyndi Lauper vibe to it, doesn't it? Chop, chop, chop. I'm still chomping people, I don't know why. Oh, my gun leveled up. All right, this is way better than E.V.O. This is fun. I'm into this. Oh, who's this guy? What do you think you're doing, buddy? Oh God. Do you have like a weak spot or something? I'm blasting your face, man. Hold on, I have to make the music here a little louder because this is too much. You guys hear that? Thanks, OMG Fred Undead, yeah. All right. How do I get the menu to go away? Right, I just started blasting. That's how this game works. You just blast away. It's too loud now, isn't it? It's too loud. Okay, hold on. We'll reduce the music a little bit. It is real nice music soundtrack here though. So I started blasting all these guys. Oh, what's this? Power up. Oh, he's got a voice box. Did you hear that? He said power up. You know you got a good Super Nintendo game when you can hear the guy say when there's like words. Oh, it's windy. Oh man, the wind got me. Okay, I'm going, that's fun. I'm gonna take another break and I can hear it better than you guys can. Let me tell you, if you can find the soundtrack to Super Turrican 2 Director's Cut, you should. It is banging. So I'm gonna read another advice question. Once again, this is one I'm stealing from the internet. No one has sent me this one or anything. Which is cool. I understand it's going to be a while, but I'm going to read another question. Before I read this, I want to be really clear about where I'm coming from. This question is written by a young gay woman, a young lesbian, says that she's in her early 20s. I am an old cis man. I identify as, let's say, hetero-flexible, but that means mostly hetero. If I am stepping out of my lane and reading this question, please, that's a conversation to have. I agree, I probably am. But I've read this question and it speaks to me because I think this is a thing that is experienced by everyone, regardless of your age, regardless of your sexual preference or gender identity. I think this is a question that is important to discuss just with the act of being a human being in the world. I hope that this isn't troubling to anyone, that I'm about to read this question written by a person that in so many ways is fundamentally different than me. Startrek says, WTF. See, I didn't swear that time. You happy for me? I never got kisses from your... You know, being hetero-flexible doesn't mean that you kiss everybody. Just to let you know that. All right, so I hope that this isn't troubling to anyone out there. I'm going to read this question. If this is upsetting, if I have stepped too far out of my lane, please let me know. That's a conversation we have. I don't think I am, and I hope that if you listen enough to hear me answer this question, you'll see where I'm going at. This isn't a particularly short one, but I'll do my best to read it in a succinct way. So like I was saying, this is how it begins. I am in my early 20s and have never had anyone in my life be romantically interested in me. and it's really starting to weigh on me. I am a lesbian that went through all of high school closeted, which I think has impacted things for me, but still, not a single person has ever said that they had a crush on me. I've never kissed anyone, and no one has even told me there's a rumor so and so has a hard crush on me. Even though I'm gay, sometimes I wish even a boy had explicitly paid attention to me at some point. It would at least prove on some level I'm capable of being seen that way. I've gotten some matches on dating apps, but it just doesn't feel real because they haven't known me in person. I'm graduating college soon, and it just really feels so lonely because I do want to have some sort of relationship, and I know I'm still young, but it just feels like it never happened. It goes on and on and on. But that's kind of the gist of this person's problem. This is how I would answer it. And I once again, I think that this kind of goes above. Eichel, did you write that question? It wasn't sent to me, just as a reminder. This is what I want to say to that. First off, early 20s is nothing. You're barely not a child. Don't get stressed out about not having done something in your early 20s. I can say that as a person that really didn't get started like romantically or sexually until I was in my early 20s. I was sick for most of my teens, so that's a different story altogether. But I guess the thing that I want to make sure that if I could talk to this person, that I would want to say to them is one of the biggest motivations for people is to avoid appearing foolish or avoid appearing in some way that's embarrassing. As a result, people almost never come up to people and say, hey, I have these feelings about you. I don't know you, but these are my feelings. Let's do something about it. I'm not going to say that never happens, but it almost never happens. You haven't been in the game long enough to even have the slightest chance of that happening. So there may very well be, almost certainly there is someone that you've encountered in your life that was into you, but people don't talk that way. I wish they did. I wish that people weren't so scared of embarrassment. Most of human suffering comes from people being scared to appear to be foolish in some way or another. People become violent because they don't want to appear foolish. People believe in conspiracy theories because they think in their world it makes them look smart. Even Hitler got married. So someone out there probably has been into you. If not, that's also cool. You're just now become an adult. You're still a kid. So give it some time. Attraction works in two different ways. Sometimes people see you and they're immediately attracted to you right away. That's the type of attraction that dating apps works really well for. And then you need to get them, then you need to meet them, then you need to share your personality, yourself with them. And then maybe they like you more and maybe they don't. If they don't, then you start all over again. But you gotta get through that first layer, that immediate attraction. Dating apps are great. You should invest in the dating apps. If you want to get kissed in a couple of days, then use the dating app to do that. And all of your hangups about this would be taken care of. Hold on, let me go back and look at some of the chats here. So Eichel says that even Hitler got married. Yeah, that's true. Starrex says, yeah, but his dick didn't work. We don't know that. Probably not. His heart didn't work. His brain didn't work for sure. Is dick swearing? That's a really good question to ask everybody. If I'm not going to swear on this, can I say dick or should I stick with penis? Let me know your thoughts on that, everybody. Landon, hey Landon, you're here. We're gonna have you on in a second. Landon goes, romantic self-help book title, Even Hitler Got Married, Mastering the Art of Risking Embarrassment in the Name of Love. Man, that's a book I would not read. Eichel says I should say phallus instead of dick or penis. I don't like that word. I'm not gonna swear like a sailor. That's a good point. OMG, Fred Undead. If we're going to talk about Hitler, let's talk about Hitler. He took a lot of stimulants. We know stimulants sometimes make your penis work better than it would otherwise. We know that that's one of the reasons people take stimulants. Or can we stop talking about Hitler's dick though? Can we? That's where I'm going to draw the line on that one. We're going to wrap that conversation up. Anyways, that's my advice to this person. Is people usually don't approach you and say, "I have a crush on you. Let's go have drinks or whatever." I wish that they did, but they don't. You got to do this. You got to put yourself out there. You got to do this thing where people connect because they have some kind of connection because of your hair, the way you look, your tattoos, your makeup, the band on your t-shirt, whatever. That's how people make an initial connection. And then you go have drinks, you hang out for a little bit, you like each other more, you like each other less. If you like each other more, great. Then you go and you have sex or whatever and get married and have kids or whatever you want to do. If you don't, then you start over again. You find somebody else. That's my advice. Get out of your own way and just go and trust that people have a shallow attraction to you initially, because that's what initial attraction is, and then give it some time. And if they get to know you and they don't like you, then that's their problem, and then go find somebody else. You're in your early 20s. Take your time. Okay, that's the only other question that I have. So what did we do? We did our album of the week, which is this year's model by Elvis Costello. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. We answered a couple questions about your responsibility to your ex's emotional well-being, which is none, and how people just need to get out of their own way and just go out in the world. And, you know, in all things in life, if you want to win big, you have to be willing to lose big. You have to risk big to win big. So going out and dating means that you are going to have a hard time. You're going to have your heart broken. You're probably going to break someone else's heart. If you don't do that in your life, if you're, let's say, 30 and you haven't had your heart broken and you haven't broken someone else's heart, you're playing it too safe. Also, if you're 30 and you don't have herpes, you're also playing it too safe. Get over yourself. This is life. Just go out there and do your thing. Be yourself. And if no one likes you, then change yourself. And then someone will like you after that. You're probably an asshole. That's my dating advice. I hope you liked it. If you're over 30 and you don't have herpes, you're playing it safe. You heard that from me. Cool. Landon, are you ready? Yeah, StartRec says 2/3 of adults have oral herpes. I think it's probably higher than that. Oh wait, we got an auto mod. Uh-oh, someone got auto modded. I'm gonna allow what sex-based terms. Is Twitch not letting me acknowledge the existence of sex? I'm allowing all of this. StartRec says, get herpes ASAP. I mean, you don't need to go out of your way to get it. Do it. If you're living your life right, you're just going to get it on your own. You don't need to make an effort. Word of advice, get herpes. If you're, Joe Biden said that. If you're 30 and you don't have herpes, come on, man. Maybe it's herpes. So I just want to take a minute here to say Twitch automatically filtered out the existence of the word herpes. That's what Twitch was filtering out, which is nonsense. Why you can't say herpes on Twitch? I mean, we are. Everyone is. Herpes. Does anyone remember the days in the internet where there was it was like a picture of, I think it was like Yasser Arafat in the middle, and then on one end was a person's mouth with a sore on it, and the other end was a guy with a toupee. And if you click either side, he said the same thing. He said herpes. Does anyone remember those days? Those were the early days of the internet. That was a great time. Yeah, Fred Undead, can you say HSV? Maybe. Herpes. All right. Let me, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a little break, and I'm going to bring Landon Letzkus in, and then we're going to hang out. Me and Landon are going to hang out. We're going to have a good time. Yeah, there was another one where it was beer can or bacon. It was a Jamaican guy. All right, so little break, and when we come back, we will have we'll have our special guest for the day. Thanks, everybody. Be back in just a couple.
Check two. Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm getting an echo again.
Big time echo. I'm not like speakers this time. Yep. Oh, there we go. Cool. Oh, there's a weird delay. Very weird delay. I could just not. No, that I can't hear you. Yeah, it's me coming.
And we're back. Oh God, oh God, oh
Oh,
boy.
wow. What is going
I don't
on?
know. I ruined Hello, 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 hello. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible.
That's pretty bad. 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 That's pretty bad.
What about now? What about now? No,
No, I think that's pretty bad too.
How about this one? How about this one?
That's pretty bad. Can everyone hear the echo? Let me just make sure I don't have any. No, no.
This is what happened?
Is it sound? Is it sound? Is it sound? Hey, you're in the. Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
Ooh. Do you want me to leave and rejoin, maybe? Check 2. Now I can't hear it. Now I'm not echoing, but I can't hear you. Oh. Now it's good. No, it's not. It's real bad. I'm getting feedback of myself from 2 seconds in the past. A second in the past. A millisecond in the past. I think the chat can still hear us right now. Hey, holler, sound off in the chat if you can still hear us. Oh. Well, I'm at your, I don't. Why don't I rejoin? I'm going to leave and come back. I think they can. They are saying they can hear me. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, here I am. Now there's that. Hey. I mean, I think you did it.
How about now?
It's pretty gnar. Well, what if I jumped on my Twitch account and joined you there? I know it wouldn't be Switcher, but couldn't. just the chat? Is there a way to pop out the chat?
I don't know. Hey, everyone, how are we doing now? We're back. I think we've figured out a way to make this work. It's a less than elegant solution. But please let me know in the chat if this is working. I don't hear an echo.
I don't hear an echo either.
Yeah. I think we did it.
Did we do it?
We did it. We did it, everybody. It's working.
This is great.
It's a Unix system. I know this. That's a Jurassic Park reference, everybody.
That's a good one. I like it.
We're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what was happening, but it happened. And now that's in the past. And we are in what was the future, which is now the present.
That's true.
Did I just blow your mind?
Time, you know?
No, I don't. So how's it going, everyone? This is, for everyone out there, the 5 people watching, maybe 2 of which don't know, this is Landon Letzkus. Landon and I go way back. He's a delightful person that I enjoy experiencing in my life.
Oh, that's really nice. I like to think of myself as an experience.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
You are an experience. I mean that in the best way. I don't think if I've ever had a bad time in your presence, it was happening already.
I'm sure, I think most people would agree that once or twice I've probably been a little too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people say that about me too, so.
Right. Well, but I can understand that. For me, it's...
I would say I'm never too much enough.
It's never enough when you're too much.
All right, Landon. So we're here. I've put aside the video games, thank goodness. Were you here at the beginning? That game I was playing at first sucked. It was not a good game.
No, I wasn't here at the beginning. You know, I don't like video games.
I'm aware of that.
I don't. I just like them with the exception of a few that I love.
Yeah, I seem to remember you poning some noobs on some first-person shooter on a computer a million years ago.
So that was a that was a Unity. I think that was more of a cry for help than than me enjoying video games. I really didn't know what I was doing with my life. A lot like right now and all of the years intervening. But yeah, that was fun fact, because I'm so chronically unemployed at this point and having more than a bit of an existential crisis. It's funny you mentioned that game. I sought it out the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Which, much like buying lottery tickets, is one of my little internal alarm bells that, like, things aren't going great. And it turns out that they stopped supporting, because it was a browser-based game.
Yeah.
And that game just stopped supporting the Unity engine. And also, even though I just looked it up like 2 weeks ago, for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called. No, I can. It was called Contract Wars. And I think you're like a mercenary, and it's so antithetical to my being as a person that I would play a game where I play like a mercenary and I go around like shooting people in like a Blackwater kind of scenario.
Yeah, but that's the thing about video games is you get to experience. The video game I was playing before, I was a fish. I can barely swim. I like hanging out in the pool, I guess. But, I like hanging out in the pool where they got drinks.
Okay, fair enough. The one that I'm really into right now is I've been playing, that's really good, Fred, Contract Warts. This is really fun. Oh, and Start Rec. We're not doxing, right? I have to use fake names. Is that right? In the chat, probably. Good idea. I'll do that. I'll use
Contract Warts. Get herpes. That's the sequel. I
don't know if you guys can see. That's done and done, baby.
Yeah.
I'm recovering from a little cold sore there. I agree. Someone once told me, and this is especially relevant with like sort of The Last of Us being popular right now, that there's a plague is going to come one day, and the only people who survive are going to be the ones that have oral herpes.
Yeah, that's everybody though. That wouldn't be even a plague.
Yeah, I know. It's not
people would die from that than COVID.
Yeah, I know, but think of all the really lame ones.
Yeah, all the squares would die.
all the total squares would die. Actually, my partner somehow does not have. This is a way overshare for the internet, but she never got it. I don't know how.
Weird.
She's not pleased. I'm sure that I just said that out loud. She's watching, by the way. Not in the chat, but she's texting. Margot, text me right now if you're not pleased that I just mentioned you and oral herpes in the same sentence on the internet.
Yeah, OMG Fred Undead has said that their name is Fred, which is cool.
Okay.
Contract awards. That's also a classic Fred Undead joke.
Contract awards. I really like that a lot.
We had a suggestion here that we talk about our prior creative projects.
Oh. Yeah.
And I have a link to that prior creative project at JeremyInternational.com. If anyone would like to go, you can use that link. Landon and I were two of the three people that were and hopefully maybe someday again will be involved in a live experience. Let's say that was an experience called Church Night. Do you want to say anything more about that, Landon?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, Church Night was a fake church service. I think we danced around that for a lot of years. We didn't actually say it quite like that. And then we realized that people didn't know what it was. So now we call it that. It was a fake church service. I played a kind of a bent reverend, and Jeremy played Randy St. Oates Jr., our altered boy, and Lindsay Deming. Maybe she's out there watching right now. Kind of, I dare say the beating heart internally anyway of Church Night.
And the thinking brain.
The thinking brain, yeah, and essentially the originator of the entire idea, but played Kathy Piata, the church lady, like youth pastor, I guess, youth minister. Really good time. God, I love that show,
yeah,
and I think we're not, we're just like we're on indefinite hiatus, but in the literal sense.
Yeah. I agree with that. I suspect we'll be back.
Yeah. So
if not, I'll kill myself. So it's cool.
Right. Yeah, me too. If we're not, I'm gonna end it all because it's really all that was keeping me alive.
We shouldn't make jokes. This is supposed to be like an uplifting, like emotionally conscientious show. We probably shouldn't make.
We were both pretty bubbly when we referenced suicide.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I hope no one thought that we were being serious.
Yeah, you're right, though. Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
God, what kind of content are you pushing here?
I don't know what I'm doing. Cool. So, Landon, I had asked you to prepare two things. One is for you to pick your album of the week. We already talked about mine. If you weren't there, I'll say that it was This Year's Model by Elvis Costello. Mainly because I've worked very hard to try to get that look from the cover for most of my life. And the other day, my toddler pointed at that record cover and said, "Daddy." And that meant that I have been successful.
Wait, what's the name of I want to Google it now. What's the name of it again?
This Year's Model.
This Year's Model.
I think that's Elvis Costello in the Attractions album, but it might just be Elvis Costello. You got to look that one up.
Whoa, that kind of is your aesthetic.
Very on purpose. I worked very hard to do that for most of my life. So that's not an accident. I'm very affected in that way.
Wow, look at that. God, and he was going for like Buddy Holly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
he was going for like 19 if Buddy Holly was around in the 70s. You know that right. Buddy Holly had like his like whole career was like 18 months.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Rip Buddy Holly.
That's it. That would be if like Post Malone died in a plane crash like 5 years ago.
I would not wish anyone. I don't wish ill on any of my fellow primates, including Post Malone. So I hope you're doing.
No, I like that guy. I mean, I don't like any of the music that he makes professionally, but he seems like kind of a fun, broken soul. And when he's doing all those covers during COVID, like he crushed that Nirvana session. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
It was like him and the drummer from Blink-182 and someone else, and they were really good.
All right, well, I'll check it out.
A little like pretty, like kind of sloppy, but it was anyway.
I mean, it was COVID. What are you gonna do?
I just want to go on the record saying that I wish no ill will towards Post Malone.
Same.
Right.
I
like that you have the FaceTime feature on that follows you around.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. Yes.
But I'm not using the people at home can't see the FaceTime. Only you can.
Oh, really? So wait, but it doesn't show. Oh, because it's a different camera. I
Yeah, it's a
see.
different
Well,
camera.
you
I'm
guys.
using the built-in camera on my studio display to talk to Landon, and I'm using my iPhone 12 to talk to the audience at home.
Okay,
Hi,
which
audience.
means that I'm not getting a lot of. I'm not personally not getting a lot of eye contact from Jeremy, which is
No, that's
kind
true.
of a bummer.
Yeah, I'll try to do better.
That's
Uh, so I had asked you to bring two things. One
uh-huh.
was your album of the week, which I would like for you to share. I know what it is because I have the album cover up here to show people.
Okay. Should
And
I
start rec.
say what?
Why TF do cell phones always work better than webcams? I think I can answer that question. Do you think you can answer that question, Landon?
Uh, I mean, it would probably lead to an in-depth conversation, but
I I mean, cell phones have better cameras because they got to put out a new cell phone every year and make it like a reason for people to upgrade. And computer displays and computer screens
oh, I
don't usually
disagree.
do that every year. Oh,
Because I don't think there have been meaningful updates to the camera systems of most flagship Android or iPhone devices in like some time. It's been pretty even keel with like a little, even the giant megapixel update. Well, we're getting
okay.
weeds
Let's
now.
if you don't know that Landon and I have a background working in the technology sector, uh, and neither of us are doing that right now. You know why? Because neither of us have a job.
We both got shit canned
Yes,
in
we
2022.
were both laid off by our technology companies, our
Uh-huh.
startups. Kicked us out the door.
They
Um,
did.
okay, so album of the week is one thing I asked you to bring, and then I also asked you to bring, if you have it, a piece of advice that you think is either good or bad or interesting in some way. And then I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, that you have something interesting and cool from like your personal life that you would like to share with the audience as well.
I do. Can we do the advice first? Because I feel like the music will dovetail kind of into the interesting
Sure,
thing
yeah, okay.
from my just for flow, you
That's
know.
that's not how the show works. I've made up these rules that you have to do the album first. Give
Sorry,
give us the
sorry
advice
to.
first, please.
Okay, so this is yeah we can call this advice. So when I was geez like 20, um, I've
6 years
I've
ago.
went we're 6 years ago. Now that I think about it, I've been just kind of in a constant state of existential crisis. The older I get, I think maybe you just like aging is just kind of like getting good at it or like getting used to it or dealing with. I don't know. That's a little grim, but I also don't think existential crises are all bad.
No,
Like what's bad about like existence is inherently fucking look around. This is insane.
I was talking
Uh
about that in the first hour that everybody has problems, everyone has trauma, and you have to be patient with yourself. Even Elon Musk, the
right.
richest guy in the world, still is miserable and terrible. He's a bad guy, and his
Right.
life sucks.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. Okay, so this was one of my earliest forays into existential crisis, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I went to several holistic doctors. I was at Arizona State University at the time, and there's a lot. Arizona gets a lot of flack for being kind of a red state. There's a lot of like woo woo stuff going on out there
Yeah, they
too.
wear a lot of
Um,
turquoise. It's
a
like
lot of
turquoise,
turquoise.
lots of
Their
turquoise.
highest dream catcher per capita, I believe, of any U.S. state
Yeah, that makes
is
sense. Interesting.
Arizona. Most
Interesting.
of which culturally appropriated by people who should not wear them or have them. But at one point I met. This was like a friend of my family, and I won't get into my family's history, Jeremy. You know where I come from, but
Yes, I do.
someone friend of my I can't remember who they are at this point, their name. Um, but I was talking to my mom, and I was like, yeah, I've seen all the holistic doctors. He gave me a really good hug, but it didn't help. I think he charged me $150 for that hug, and it didn't help. Uh, and and I don't know what to do. I'm listless. I don't know what the fuck.
How
We're
old were
not
you? I'm
cursing.
sorry.
Like 20. You're not supposed to know what you're doing with your
No.
life when you're 20. But I was, I didn't know that. I was concerned that I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And so my mom is like, well, there's this friend of ours who's in town in Arizona right now. Why don't you go visit with them at their hotel? Because they're really good at dispensing advice and wisdom. And I don't know who this person is. I can't remember who they are or why. I mean, this is how desperate I was. I went to a resort like on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona, to meet with a woo-woo friend of my woo-woo parents to get advice on what to do with my life when I was 20. Um, you know, so I go and I meet this person, and we sit down, and they were like, "Oh, I haven't seen you since you were this big," and I said, "Well, I don't know who you are at all," uh, and um, and the conversation went on, and I felt immediately like, I'm not going to get what I need out of this. And then they said, you know what you need is a roadmap for life. And I said,
Of course,
okay, this
one of
sounds,
those.
I'm paying attention now. I just tell me what to do. I love this.
He
I
said,
said,
"If life is a highway, I'm gonna ride it all
right,
night
right.
long."
And then they paused and they said, it's been a long road getting from there to here. No, they said, and I'm going to write it down for you, and you're going to keep it, and you're going to consult it every time you feel lost. And I said, oh shit, okay, this is good. And I could use this right now. Whatever this is going to be, it's going to be profound. And then they took out a 3x5 index card that they just had, and they wrote down 1, who are you? 2, what are you willing to do? 3, what are you not willing to do? And then they had to go. And they gave me that index card, and I went and got back into my beat up old Jeep Cherokee. And for like a week, I was like, yes, it all makes sense.
Were you able to answer any of those questions at that time?
No, I'm still, from time to time, and by that I mean like quarterly for the last 20 years, I have said these out loud in times of trouble. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know how to answer it. Like, what
Yeah.
are you not willing? I don't know, genocide? I'm
Right.
not willing to do
What
that.
are you willing to do in exchange for what?
Right.
Like everyone
Right.
has a price. Like what would you be willing to do in exchange for a hand job?
Right.
We're,
Right.
we
Which
we
is,
don't swear, but we acknowledge the existence of sex on
I've
this show.
I've been swearing. I'm sorry. Are you gonna get in trouble from Twitch
No,
police?
no.
Oh, okay.
They don't let you
Are
say herpes in the chat. Apparently, you have to override that.
what?
Yeah, I got a couple auto filters because we had a very nice conversation. You were part of that conversation about herpes, and
I
it was
was.
auto filtering out some of the text.
Oh, there. It did it even when I
It
put
did it.
spaces
Yeah,
between
I'm
them.
gonna allow it. Can I
Okay, thank you.
permanently allow herpes?
Permanently allow herpes. Oh, I did.
Yeah, look, see, Fred Undead got filtered out too.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, that auto mod is a square.
Yeah, that auto mod
L7
wearing
weenie.
their
All
Mormon
right.
underwear.
So that's a really interesting piece of advice, and I just want to say 2 things about that I think is really helpful for people out there when you're looking for who to think of as like look for guidance. Is I we can say good things and bad things about the boomers all day long. Mostly bad things. They're burning down the planet. They stole all of our money. They inherited the most prosperous society in the history of the world, and now no one can afford healthcare or education.
Right.
But one of the things that the I think is really common for people of that generation is there's all of life has questions and then really clear answers. Like they think of themselves like Summer Love. They thought of themselves as like pulling down like the apparatus of like oppressive society, but then they felt like they had to replace it with something. And that's not how it works. You don't replace it with anything. You pull down all of these rules and all these restrictions, and then you just don't have them. And that
Right.
is how people should live, not like replacing it. They're always seeking. They're always
Right.
looking for like this is the belief system that I'm going to follow that's going to fix all my problems.
This is why you're a diehard libertarian.
Yes, that's why I'm That's what people see me. They think of two things. They think there's Jeremy International, diehard libertarian.
His giant tattoo of a Gadsden flag on his chest. You'll never see it, but he's got it.
I've got Ayn Rand's signature on my butt.
I think it's pronounced Iron.
Oh, is it?
Iron.
Thank you. Thanks there.
All
right. So
I agree. By the way, with everything that you just said.
Take
about boomers.
Take advice from boomers very cautiously, because they're just going to try to replace some stupid system of thinking about the world with some other system of thinking about the world. And the world doesn't usually work in, at least for real people, doesn't usually work in that kind of like systemic way. Anyways, thank you for sharing that. What a ridiculous, do you still have the card?
I think I do. I have like a big bin of sentimental stuff. Do you have a bin like that?
I mean, that's my whole house. I have bins and bins and bins. And I never throw anything away. I have a problem.
I know. Well,
I was playing a video game from 1993 a couple minutes ago. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
No, I didn't, because as you know, I don't watch that part of the show.
That's fine.
But okay, well, I throw everything away. You know me. I mean, I keep it clean and tight. I like right angles. I don't like dust.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a bin of sentimental stuff, and I need to dig through it again, because I think I might have like laminated it with like packing tape, and I might still have it. Siri just spoke up.
I want to hear about your album of the week in a minute. I just want to go through a couple of the messages
sponsors?
Here from the chat. A couple of our sponsors. Startrek asks, "What is my opinion on Gen Z?" I'm really I'm not an optimistic person in general, but I think I'm optimistic about the kids these days. I think a lot of the things, I'm technically Gen X. I'm like the youngest a Gen X person could be. I was born just a year too early to be a millennial. And I think that people, it's like such a cliche to say say woke now, because the right wing is like vilified like woke culture so much, but like people are paying attention, and they're having the types of difficult conversations that people always should have had that never did. And I think that's good. And if a couple people that look like me and Landon here get canceled for that, then that's the price of admission. The people that have run everything look kind of sort of like us. I mean, but like
well, not you, but
plenty of people that look like me. Anyways, that's my take on it. Is I'm optimistic about if we can stop the world from blowing up for a few more years, I think the Gen Zers will be able to take over and do a good job.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. They've got some funny tastes, but I feel like, as you get old, I don't know, but do you ever feel like you're overcompensating? Not overcompensating, but like, I just never want to be that, like, get off my lawn. Like, even if I hear, like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you know anyone that can afford a lawn? Who has a lawn?
Right? God, I would kill for a lawn, almost, maybe literally.
I got enough space for 2 bushes, and I hate those bushes. I definitely, I mean, I'm going to be 44 in a few months, and I definitely feel like I'm overcompensating for becoming an old square. I'll give you an example, because my partner and I, we lived in a medium-sized city and had fabulous urban lifestyle for many, many years. And then we had a kid, and we technically still live in a city, but we have a very suburban life now. And one of the ways that we've made sure that we don't just become like boring, normal suburban people is we moved Taco Tuesday to Wednesdays, but we do it on Thursday. So we have Taco Wednesday on Thursday. I think that'll keep us cool. I'm not worried. Cool. Yeah, it's keeping us cool. Taco Wednesdays on Thursdays.
I love that. I think it's just start rec is inquiring my opinion, and I just want to say solidly for the record, I agree with that. And I think it's important as you get older to separate sort of the tastes of a generation,
Pepsi,
from like the ethos of a generation. And I think that there are parts of like music that I've listened to recently that like a person in their early 20s made, and my first instinct was like, this is good, but it's pretty derivative. Like, did they listen to it? I can give them some records that sound a lot like the songs that they wrote.
Uh,
But you know, A, it was good, and B, like, I agree. Like, setting aside like the right co-opting woke, this generation does seem to have a genuine invested interest in making things better for everyone. So they want more people to have it better.
yeah.
And I just don't see how you could ever how you could shit on that
Yeah.
ethos. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot. I need to tone it down. I've been alone for a while. I've been out of the house for a minute, so.
I can tell. Uh, yeah, I mean, don't sweat about swearing.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
I agree with that. I'm optimistic. Just the fact that the number of people that are talking about things like misogyny and racism and just I had a hard time initially like accepting like America is founded on white supremacist principles, but that's an you can't ignore that. That's just a fact.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it was difficult for me to start when that conversation started to become very like public and commonplace. But that's history, man. I mean, what else are you can do about it? It sucks, but that's how it has been. But that doesn't mean that's how it has to be.
Right.
That's just an example. A million things like that. The fact that we're having the types of conversations as a society, as a community, at least in the places where they let you have that conversation, is causes me to be optimistic.
That
What
is, yeah.
what is your album of the week? Tell us the story.
Well, this is a pretty good segue, actually. I just said moments ago that I haven't left the house in a while, and Margot texted and reminded me that, in fact, I literally just got back yesterday from a whirlwind trip on the West Coast. Part of my unemployed existential crisis has been gleefully spending money I don't have on irresponsible journeys. And I just had a real hankering to be on an airplane, because airplanes are like I'm obsessed with aviation in
Yes,
general,
you are.
but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
being on an airplane is also like kind of a safe transient space for me. You know, you're not there, you're not here. No one can ask
You're
anything of
in
you except
between.
right. Here, like the most responsibility I'm gonna have is to like very carefully like help the flight attendant like pass a ginger ale to the person in the window seat. I'm just kidding. I'm always in the window seat, but you know what I mean. Like,
It's such a great break from the stressful workaday life that you and I have all the time.
right, I know. Which so while I legitimately have not walked around the city that I live in very much, I have traveled almost 6,000 miles in the last
Wow,
4 days
Jesus.
by air. I've been going to Google Flights, setting my origin airport, and then just moving the price dial down to look for the cheapest possible flights.
Uh
And
huh.
then I've been taking those flights. And then from the city that I go to, I do the same thing until I find my way back home.
So you fly out, but you don't have a plan on coming back.
No, no, no. I always figure it out prior to
Oh, I
leaving.
see. I
I
see what you
want
mean.
like a whole itinerary.
That
But
sounds like a
one,
lot of fun. I hate airports, but I love being on airplanes. I hate train stations. I love being on airports and train stations are stressful to me. But you're right. When you're on a plane, when you're on a train, I'm not going to Dr. Seuss that. I thought I might for a second. I don't have the words
yeah,
to.
you were really
I was so
close.
close. I was so close to Susan. Um, there's nothing to
Susan.
do. There's nothing to do. You get a drink. You watch a movie on your iPad. I like to watch Godzilla movies on the train personally, and
Right.
it's the best. I love that.
Right. Yeah, me too. Me too. God, it's great. So, um, long story short, I
Too
ended
late.
up in. Right. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Like I said, I haven't had this much time talking to another person in a minute. But I ended up in Los Angeles, but my return flight home was from Las Vegas, and I had rented a car, and I thought, well, this will be fun. I'll just do it like a nice desert drive. The problem is I'd accidentally rented the car to return it in Phoenix. Um, and
That's really far away.
It's really far away.
Yeah.
Not that much farther actually from LA than Las
Oh,
Vegas, believe
really?
it or not.
Hmm.
Only yeah, it's like 4 hours, just under 5 hours, and then just under 6 hours. Um, but what I had neglected, I got this car for really, really cheap. It was a Tesla for $30 a day,
Wow.
which was insane. And also the no gas, no gas costs, which is
Yeah.
bonkers. And I couldn't figure out why it was so cheap. And only when I tried to change it to the correct airport did I realize it's because it was Super Bowl Sunday in Phoenix. The Super Bowl was being played there, and I guess they like really, really wanted cars. So they do that. If they need a car in a place, they just make the rates insanely cheap.
Wait, I want to hang on a second. I want to go back to that for a second. I want to acknowledge everyone. I don't follow sports, particularly football. Wasn't the Super Bowl Philadelphia and Kansas City?
Yeah,
And
they
it was
don't.
in Arizona?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do it
I
in a
didn't know
neutral
that.
third party. I don't know if that's always been the case. I think it is always the case on neutral ground.
Why?
Well, I mean, number one, you can't ever do a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. They would just burn. We wouldn't have, there'd be like a smoking crater left
All right. I heard that
in
too.
that town.
I don't know a lot about football, but I know that. I know that
Right.
much.
Yeah, they're pretty intense. They were flipping cars before the game started.
Start Reg, you were born outside of Philly. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
You ever notice how there's most of Pennsylvania is Alabama? You ever notice that before?
It is, yeah. It's Pennsylvania. That's where the nickname comes from.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. All right, so I'm getting to your question about my album of the week.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Is this too long-winded now?
I mean, it doesn't. There's no rules, man. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, I don't either.
Yeah,
but
remember
I feel
when
like
we couldn't get the audio to work?
Yeah, I do. Everyone remembers that, Jared.
So you have a Tesla that you have to drive to Arizona.
All right, so yeah, I call, and they said, well, look, here, we can't do anything over the phone. You can just drive it to Las Vegas and give it back. And what are they going to do? One person on the phone told me to do that. They said, just drive it there and drop it off and see what happens. And I said, is that going to cost me an arm and a leg? And they said, it might. Spoiler alert.
Literally.
It
did. Oh,
I'm not going to share how much
yeah,
because
please
Margot's
don't.
watching.
Yeah. And also, that would stress me out too.
Anyway, the thing is, though, I'm trying to figure this out as I'm driving. And halfway through this drive into the desert, I have not figured out if I'm going to Las Vegas or to Phoenix. So, and time is elapsing because I'm on the phone. I'm stopped and I'm on the phone. So I'm in Palm Springs, California, and I'm waited on the phone. It's now like 10 o'clock at night, and I have decided that I'm going to go to Las Vegas. And because of how far out into the desert I am, the fastest way now for me to do this is to drive through the middle of the Mojave Desert
with a battery operated car.
Do
they have charging stations in the Mojave?
There was a lot. The last one is about, I don't know, 70 miles south of where the real stuff begins out there in 29 Palms, California. So I filled her up there, got her to 100, and embarked into the desert. And ages ago, I was a huge fan of Caius. Like Josh Homme was in that band. He went on to do Queens of the Stone Age, which I also really like. And I remember they're all, these bands are from out there. And there's a lot of other sort of like sludgy, metally bands that are from Palm Desert and Yucca Valley and like around Joshua Tree. And I put on this record, my record of the week.
And I'm going to bring it up here.
Blues for the Red Sun by Caius.
Ooh. And
man, I can understand now better than ever why you'd make that music if you lived out there. Because there's just something like, it's slow and intense and just so fucking so metal.
Yeah.
And there's just something stark, and you feel so tiny in this dry, arid nothingness. They used to, and I learned this week, researching this album a little bit. Those dudes used to have what they called generator parties, and they had this rabid fan base, this cult fan base, and they would just be like, "Here's where the show's gonna be," and it would be like 150 miles into the desert, nothing around, no people for miles and miles and miles, and they'd have these big diesel generators, and they'd play these shows for like 100 people out in the middle of nowhere, who, if they weren't prepared, would die trying to get back to like the interstate. And that made sense to me driving out there, and I listened to the album like 1.5 times through, driving through the Mojave Desert at 1 in the morning, which was really quite scary. I've driven across the country more than a dozen times, and this was probably one of the spookiest experiences I've ever had. It was a dark night, clouds, no stars, no moon, inky black sky, nothing.
Well, America said about the desert that the desert is ocean with its life underground.
Right. Well,
And that song about the horse.
that makes sense why I didn't see shit.
I kind of go through these big phases. In the winter and the fall time, I definitely like feel more like metal. Like I listen to a lot more metal this time of year. I actually don't know this album, but I'm excited to check it out. I love sludgy, kind of like really heavy and really slow metal. That's such a great vibe these days. Big fan.
Yeah,
Genre.
there's a track, Molten Universe, which I listened to on repeat several times because
cool.
It was just, I needed it.
Oh man, I should go to the desert and get metal AF. So we actually got a question. We got an advice question. I feel like we need to address it because we never get those.
Yeah, that's what isn't that the point?
It is. It is. It is. When you got 5 people, there's not a lot. There's not a lot that happens. So here's some advice, and it's in the chat here from StartRec. How do I avoid, and I'm gonna say, freaking up an early relationship with someone who seems just as into it as I know it says fuck right there. How do I? Fine. How do I avoid fucking up an early relationship with someone? StartRec said that, not me. With someone who seems just as into me as I am into her. Ooh.
Oh.
That's a big question.
No, I should probably know that since I think I've probably freaked up a lot of early relationships.
Me too.
For that reason. But it's been a long time since I've been in the early stages of a relationship.
Yeah.
Unless I live for like 200 years and then I'm still in the early stages of a relationship.
That's true. You never know. It's hard to tell what early means when you don't know how long you're going to live.
I'm curious to see what you have to say, Jeremy. Dispense your advice.
I would say, the important thing to me here is who seems just as into me as I am into her. So I think what happens a lot of the time in relationships is people get in their own way. You don't need to hurry anything. You don't need to slow anything down. Just go with the flow. Be yourself. Trust that this person is invested in you and that they get you, and just let it go for a little bit. I feel like relationships kind of naturally have these milestones. And when you feel like you're at one of those milestones, no one can tell you you're at one but yourself. Then
right.
Reassess and see how things are going. But don't stress out too much about, if you feel confident that she feels the same way about you feel about her, that's really the best thing that can happen. That's the ideal situation. So just, be cool, be chill, continue to do what you're doing, and then you're going to feel it when it happens. There's going to be some kind of milestone. There's going to be something that happens. Someone's going to get really sick. You're going to go on a trip together. There's going to be some really great news one of you has that you can feel and celebrate together.
Hand holding.
Hand holding is a big step if you haven't done that before.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Super. You guys are going to French. Frenching's a thing. Like I've been in the early stage of relationship where like for whatever millions of reasons, like a first date lasts like 3 or 4 days, like literally 3 or 4 days. Have you ever had one of those before? And that's like, you can feel like that kind of like shortened, kind of like really intense experience. You can feel those milestones happen because like you get 2 or 3 of those in that 4-day window. If you're dating like a normal person does, you probably, you'll get those like over the course of a few weeks or a month. But it's when something's going to happen. Shit's going to go down. Someone's going to get sick. Something really good's going to happen. Something really bad is going to happen. And then that's when you can reassess where you're at and decide if you want to go a little bit, push things a little bit forward, or if you want to dial things a little bit back. That's just the natural way that a relationship happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay out of your own way. Enjoy it while you got it. Keep doing what you're doing until it becomes clear that you need to do something else, and then do that. It's easy.
Super straightforward. Very simple. Yeah. That's a great point.
I hope that was helpful advice. The part where I was serious about it, not the part when I was being dumb. But yeah, things seem like they're going well if you feel that way. So just stay the course. When things change, you'll know it. When things need to change, you'll know it. Pay attention.
This is a lot better than the advice I was going to give, which is constant eye contact, deep and heavy breathing.
Yes, always. Breathe like right into their mouth.
Right.
Mm-hmm. People like that.
Yeah, they do.
Landon, also, I know for a fact that you like to be, while we're talking about different relationship styles, you like to be the little spoon.
I do.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's amazing. I think that's great.
Or from the other side, it's called backpacking.
Tell us more about backpacking.
That. Well, backpacking actually has a couple of different meanings. I'm going to let Urban Dictionary do that for you guys later. But yeah, it's when your partner is backpacking is being the little spoon when your partner is much smaller than you are. And she's considerably smaller than I am, not because she's a woman. That's just how she's built. And I like to be the little spoon. Sometimes I'm a little self-conscious about it because I feel like I should be doing more holding. Because I don't know, I've never been held by me because you
can't.
We don't have the technology right now. But I imagine it's really nice because I'm pretty good at it, I think. Probably.
Aren't you worried about the farting situation? That would be my concern with being the little spoon.
No, I don't worry about the farting situation. Not at all.
Must be nice.
I just let it go.
Good.
I let it go.
Good for you.
Farting is probably an area of, speaking of moving too fast too soon, farting is an area, certainly, I think. I get there within 10 days of knowing a person.
I think that's decent. If it's 10 good days, because
10
everybody farts. No one doesn't fart.
Everybody farts. Everyone has, people don't just fart. Every now and then it's a real meaty one, and sometimes that happens when your partner is spooning you, and that's a whole different experience. Because then sometimes it has to escape betwixt you. Yeah. So
but if you have a good seal with the blankets, then first off, no one needs to know. And then it also helps kind of warm up the space a little bit. You just have to have a good seal. Right.
Well, let me stop you there and say, I don't think I've ever farted and no one knew.
This goes back to what we talked about last episode about how being a living thing is gross. All living things are gross. All living things fart and shit and piss and bleed and have hair and are sweaty and smelly. And that's part of, if you can't handle that, then you should date a robot or a doll or something. Otherwise, that's what people do, and that's being a living thing. And if you got a problem with it, you should complain to the manufacturer.
Right. Good. Right.
Who was Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin. He created us.
Yeah, he did.
Him and Henry Ford, which is a shame because that guy was a big time anti-Semite.
He was
terrible.
Shitbag, yeah.
Real bigot. Well, I'm glad we didn't let a conversation go by without shit talking Henry Ford.
Gerald Ford, he was fine. He was okay.
Oh yeah, God.
Never met him personally.
No, neither did I. He was a good-looking younger man.
Oh yeah,
look up. Yeah, do yourselves a favor. Out there in the chat, look up young. There's a lot of presidents who were good-looking young men. Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't think you get the confidence to run for president if you grew up being an uggo. Personally, I don't like if you were an uggo your whole life. Why would you?
I haven't tested that about all of them. Young Dwight Eisenhower. I don't know. Dwight looked a little weird. His ears are too low on his head. I think young Dwight Eisenhower disproves that. He actually looks better as he got older and his ears got larger proportionally.
Interesting. I haven't seen a young Ike.
Look at the ears.
I'll do it later. I'll look at it later. I'll do it later. I think we're about out of time. I know that you wanted to, maybe instead of showing, can you tell us a little bit about the special thing you wanted to bring to share with the world?
Oh, no. It's silly and really a little sad. So we don't have to do that. Okay. And also, do you have I do kind of want to share.
We can take longer if you want to. There's
no
rules.
No. Don't you have do you have a wind down thing that you do? Do you have
I probably should.
When you get to the end, here's a bit of advice. You should have a little wind down.
Okay.
But don't start that today, because don't do it on the fly.
Why don't I do it? Why can't I do it on the fly? I got 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let me take 1 minute to explain the thing.
Thank you. Then I can have 4 minutes for my wind down.
Because now it's like a secret.
Yeah. Now you have to do it.
And I don't want to keep that from these people. Mm-hmm. What I was going to show. Here's where you dodged a bullet. Everyone out there. I have a spreadsheet of every flight I've ever taken in my adult life, including the registration number. I had to dig really, really deep into Department of Transportation records to get a lot of this. It took a lot of time. There are modern tools that make it easier, but I'm talking shit from the 90s. It was crazy. How many do I have?
This is every actual airplane.
Okay, all right. That's hyperbolic. It's not exhaustive. It's
It's most
188 flights I have recorded. Which is not, in the grand scheme, it's actually not that many compared to many people.
It sounds like a lot. Yeah, compared to astronauts,
pilots.
People that fly for a living. That's not a lot.
Right. Yeah, or even people who just go on business trips. But it's a fun hobby, and what I like to do is, I look the registration numbers up. I like to see what airlines owned that airplane. I flew on one the other day. It was owned by an Indonesian airline previously, which is pretty cool.
Previously, and then who owned it when you flew on
it? Delta. They recently bought a series of aircraft from Lion Air.
So can I ask a question just so that me and the audience at home can kind of picture this better? I want to say that I am a huge fan of a good spreadsheet. This episode of the Advice Stream is unofficially brought to you by Airtable, which is a really great way to make web-based spreadsheets, databases. I have a database for my vinyl collection, for my video game collection. They're terrific. If anyone at Airtable is listening and want to send me some free stuff, please do so. So what do you use to make this spreadsheet?
It's just a Google sheet. I will say that the data this originated with, there was a tool. If any of you all have ever tracked a flight, maybe you've done it using flightradar24.com, also an unofficial sponsor of Jeremy's
Is
podcast
it?
or
All right,
whatever this
fine.
is. I'm going to call this a podcast, even though I know it's not.
It's not. But okay.
So they have a really great tool for doing this, which really, it basically generates a spreadsheet, but it's not extensible enough. So I've taken that data and just put it into a Google Sheet.
So
it's really simple.
What are the columns along the top?
Date of the flight,
Date.
the flight number, the registration of the aircraft, origin and destination, the distance traveled in nautical miles.
Wow.
The time of departure, the time of arrival, the airline, the aircraft type using standard ICAO identifier, the seat I was in.
Just to be clear, the seat you were in. Wow. That's amazing. The what was the one before seat number?
The aircraft identifier.
So that would be like 7777.
Correct, but it'd be B77, and then the last digit would be 2 or 3, depending on whether it was a 777, 200 or 300. We're using. I said it already, Jerry. You must have missed it. We're using the standard ICAO. That's the International Civil Aviation Organization.
I thought you were talking about ICO.
That's great song. Great song. Used expertly in Rain Man.
Yes. StarRec wants to know if you have a column where there's a check mark whether it crashed or not.
So, no, but I have cross-referenced my list of N numbers with major aircraft incidents.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm really
Have you ever been on an airplane that crashed later?
I actually just started doing this, so I haven't gotten through the full list yet.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
I have flown on aircraft that have been scrapped because they're old.
Yeah,
and they were just smashed up. And many have been in like minor incidents, like it lost an engine, or like there was a hydraulic failure and
someone pooped their pants and they had to
someone poo-pooed in their pants and they had to divert to Kansas City.
Right? We call that an accident.
The FAA does call that an accident, and I assure you, the crew on board called it an accident. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. It's fun. It's a thing I do. I don't talk about it a lot.
Why?
I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Isn't it fun to have something you just don't tell anyone about?
Yes.
This is my thing.
And when that thing is a spreadsheet in particular.
yeah, which,
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I want to come clean and say I mentioned the Airtable database I have for my video game collection and for my vinyl collection. I did not mention my Pokemon spreadsheet, which is in Google Sheets. Just a totally different story altogether. I should get it into Airtable, shouldn't I? Airtable is great.
Airtable. I should put this. I have an Airtable account. I don't know why I put this in Google Sheets. I want, there's more that I'd like to do with this data. So
yeah.
Now I have a project.
Airtable makes Google Sheets look like baloney, in my opinion.
Right. It really does.
I think that is super cool. And StarRec, I don't worry about it. I'm going to be streaming Pokemon sooner or later. You know it. I think that's fascinating. People have their passions, and you shouldn't feel like you gotta keep that undercover. I see.
I'm mostly kidding,
and I respect that about you and your passion for that. I know I tease you about it sometimes, like every time we go to an airport and you mention a plane,
or every time I mention it, or every time I talk about
it, and the plane's number, and I say, "Is that a lot?" That happened. I do that a lot, and I'm sorry if that is upsetting to you.
That's okay. That's okay.
I would be really interested to find out if you ever were on an airplane that had a horrible crash later. That's the sort of thing that messed me up a little bit.
Well, it's only 11 p.m. Eastern, so I know what I'll be doing until 4 a.m. because I don't have to wake up tomorrow because I'm unemployed.
If you can send me a link to that once you find out, that would be.
Well, I'm just gonna add the column.
I also like how StarRec says that the next game we should play is Microsoft Excel, because we should just like show each other our spreadsheets.
There's a whole community of people that make art in Excel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Thing.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's boring.
I wouldn't want to see someone make that.
No.
But my especially like when you have a collection that starts to get really big, something like Airtable is really essential, because if I'm out and about and I see a thing, I can't remember if I have it or not, and I can search my Airtable, and it's great. Did you know, Landon, I mentioned this at the beginning, the majority of my video game collection are games for the Famicom. Do you even know? You're not a video game guy. Do you even know what a Famicom is?
Yes, I do. The Famicom is a game console made by the American Council for Family Values, and it only plays games that a good Christian mom or dad would be comfortable with their kid
You're absolutely
playing.
right.
That
You
is
nailed it.
what
You
was the
nailed it.
original use of the Famicom.
You nailed it. That's exactly what
Is
it is.
that am I close?
No. No, you're not.
Tell me.
Famicom was the original Nintendo, but in Japan, and they had a lot more games than we got here.
Really?
It was called the Family Computer.
I was right about
you
the
were
word
really
family.
close. Yeah, you were really close on that one. But it got repackaged and redesigned and released in the U.S. as the Nintendo Entertainment System, but in Japan it's called the Famicom.
That's a leap. Famicom to Nintendo?
I mean, it was made by Nintendo, whether you bought it in Japan or the United States.
Oh, I see.
We just called it the Nintendo here.
Right, the Nintendo. Oh, okay, I get it.
But they had a lot more and sometimes super weird games, but also they're smaller, so you can fit a lot more of them on a shelf because everyone in Japan has tiny apartments.
Very small, and shelves specifically.
Yes,
really
very
small
shelves. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Anyways, I learned about airplanes. You learned about video games, and so you're welcome. Here we go.
This was really fun.
Let me do my wrap up.
Do your wrap up. In
conclusion, what did we learn today? We learned that E.V.O for the Super Nintendo, probably the most valuable Super Nintendo game in my collection, sucks. It is not a good game. I won't be playing it again. I'm glad I have it because it's pretty and it's cool, but I probably won't be playing that again. We learned that once someone is your ex, you are no longer obligated to invest in their emotional well-being.
Or their startup.
Or their startup, for that matter, unless you really believe in it. And we learned that you got to put yourself out there if you're dating. If you're a single person, you got to risk big if you want to win big. We learned Landon got lost in the desert with a Tesla and listened to some really great sludge metal along the way.
I knew where I was the whole time. It was just scary.
You knew you were in the desert.
I knew I was in the desert, right? Once you're in the desert, you look around. I'm in the fucking desert.
Everyone that's ever died in the desert knew they were in the desert.
There's probably one person who's on acid. We're pretty convinced that we're not in the desert.
And that was the show. This episode of the Advice Stream was unofficially brought to you by Oat Brand Sesame Sticks. Who
are the software developer of Airtable.
Who also make Airtable. So everybody wins. Thanks for joining us, Landon Letzkus. Do you want to plug something? Should we point people to churchnight.org?
Yeah, go to churchnight.org and look at a body of work that will not be updated for the foreseeable future.
But eventually, probably, hopefully will be.
Yeah. Or find me on YouTube, Bowel Guy 48.
Oh, of course, Bowel Guy 48.
That's my one and only YouTube video, and I'd love to get that over 50,000 views. We're close.
Don't you also have the Dave Matthews Band one on YouTube?
Yeah, no one watches that.
Well, you should. You should link those together so people can go from Bowel Guy to the Dave Matthews Band one.
That's a good point.
If you haven't checked out Bowel Guy, please do so because it's great. It's a classic on the internet. Shocked that everyone hasn't seen it already. And I'll be back next week for the same situation at 9. I'll be playing a different game because I'm not going to play E.V.O anymore for the rest of my life. And we'll find something else. Oh, you know what I'm going to play? I'm going to announce it right now. I'm going to play, what's that game called? Another World on the Sega Genesis. That game is good. Show. It's beautiful. And it's the type of game you can play and talk to people at the same time. So that's what I'm going to be doing next week. If you enjoyed the show, if you want to throw a tip, you don't have to. There wasn't much to the show today. But if you do, you can go to JeremyInternational.com. If you want to submit advice questions for next week, you can go to JeremyInternational.com. Don't forget to gentle hands press the thumbs up button on YouTube, and I think Twitch probably has something similar to that, so that more people will come next time. But thanks everybody for coming. Thanks, Landon. I had a good time. I hope you did too.
I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
It sounded like a show just then, right? I just made that up, but it sounded real.
It did. This was great.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see you next week.